I'm really just exhausted from having to meet everyone's arbitrary expectations when online dating and never being on the receiving end of any initial gestures. I feel like there's a huge push to prove that I'm not a creep and that I'm actually someone worth caring for. And after a while, it's gotten to me. It's made me a bit bitter because I feel like I'm simply worth less as a guy, and I'm not worth anything as a person until I've fulfilled expectations that are placed more on men than on women. Like, I'm never intrinsically lovable. I'm only worth something because I have a job and a stable income. I've taken a step back from dating and don't know how to get over this. Story 1. I've only ever had one blind date and it went well, but afterward I was driving home and I was just filled with overwhelming sadness because, like you, I felt like I was auditioning or something. I hated it. Story 2. The trick is to look for someone you like rather than someone to validate you. Them not being interested isn't an insult. You're just not for them. Be picky too. Story 3. I stopped dating except for when I would meet girls in person. All of the dating sites are predatory organizations. Stop dating and focus on yourself, your career, your dog or cat, etc. Story 4. The way I see dating talked about these days, a lot of people approach it as a business deal or occasionally as deciding on a large purchase. I guess if you see people as a product for sale, maybe it makes it easier to reject those that don't fit your business model. I'm not saying this is the majority or anything, just that I get this sense fairly regularly when I see or hear people discussing dating. Story 5, that's the neat part, you should never have to prove your worth. Yes, we can all improve, though it's not your job to impress others. That's how you end up miserable with yourself. You are not special. They are not special. No one is special. We are all human. Story 6. Men lose 95% of the time on dating apps. Women lose about 30% of the time. We just get the short end of the stick with this one. Especially when every woman you match with expects you to be a creep who is only interested in a short-term fling. You usually have already lost before sending the first message. It cripples a person's confidence and sense of self-worth faster than other social media platforms. It's too convenient of a platform. We judge a person by a little biography and several photos. And women seem to show more interest in me while I was taken and less now that I'm not. That fact alone really frustrates me, like a child only wanting something when they can't have it. Story 7. I just quit. For someone whose only option is online dating, it's better to stay single with my games, hobbies, pornography, and whatever. It's all about luck these days, either with what you're born with or with what you get on the way. I lost my chances when dating wasn't so terrible, and I prefer to just accept that it's over now. Story 8. I understand what everyone else is saying, but the reality is that online dating is a major way to find connection these days. I take a break for now, but consider doing a paid service like Match. It sounds really counterintuitive, but since everyone on there is paying for the service, everyone is serious about meeting someone. You avoid people who just want free dinners or casual fun. No one pays a monthly fee just to mess around. You still might get some rejection, but your average match is going to take you way more seriously than on Tinder and other similar platforms. Edit. Dataclysm by Christian Rudder, inventor of OkCupid, breaks down online dating quantitatively using OkCupid data. There are insights into preferences, demographics, and how the people who secure the most matches advertise themselves and interact with or message people for successful interactions. Very cool and useful for people who are quantitatively minded. Story 9. Get a dog. Buy a boat. Look after yourself. Things have a way, and you'll find someone after you find yourself and your space. You're trying too hard, and so many people think dating and life are like The Bachelorette or some other stupid reality show. Edit. To all the boat critics, it's a metaphor. It basically means doing something with his time. Story 10. Only your mother will love you without expectations, and sometimes not even then. Don't try to prove your worth to anyone. Just be the authentic you, not too pushy but not submissive either. That way, when someone is attracted or wants to pair with you, you know it's for the right reasons. You should also be picky yourself. Practice dates are fine if you need to work on anxiety, conversation, or you just want to go to a restaurant not alone. Dating is challenging, and not to sound like a pickup artist or something, it really is a numbers game. Online dating even more so. Tinder is really thousands of swipes for dozens of matches, a few conversations, and a couple of dates. But most people aren't compatible with you anyway, or not worth your effort. Yes, the burden of initiation is typically on the male, but as intimidating as that is, it actually gives us the power position in the dating world. If you want a shallow, superficial girl, you need the physique and money to attract that. If you want a girl with substance, be a man with substance. Hobbies, interests, activities, but more importantly, genuine, honest, decent level of self-care and a sense of humor. Honesty being most important. Focus on being the best you, your confidence will increase, and you'll find more women wanting to get to know you. Rejection is difficult, but for lack of a better way of putting it, get over it and move on. Story 11. When I had a good, successful time online dating, I never tried to appeal to a mass crowd. I just figured there was a niche for me out there, and they would be really interested in me, so I didn't really try all that hard. Story 12. And never really being on the receiving end of any initial gestures. Welcome to being male. Traditionally and culturally, women react and respond, while men make the initial actions. This pattern happens everywhere in life, not just in dating. As much as feminism and women's liberation push against it, even in groups that are all women and modern or liberal or whatever term is socially acceptable, it is extremely difficult for women to leave that pattern. I've talked with several lesbians who describe that at gay gatherings nearly all the women still look for other women to make the first move, not taking it themselves. Story 13. My rules not only for dating, but for life are: 1. Routinely do whatever you can to improve yourself so you're not a piece of a bad person. In specific situations like dating, be yourself. Story 14. Stop online dating. You're wasting your time. Go out to bars with friends. Meet someone with whom you have a mutual friend. Do some activities where you can meet and talk to women. Do not use dating apps. It's a waste of time for the average man. Story 15. I just thought of this too. Women are so demanding that they don't even realize it. They are entirely too privileged. We enter relationships without caring about what they have. Most men aren't raised to rely on a woman for anything, but women are. Story 16. I feel dehumanized while dating too, but it's more because I'm just tired of the complete lack of effort from women. It's not even a question of my worthiness to be loved. I just want to date someone who acts like they care if I'm around or not. I would like to have friendships with women who value me as a person, just to be valued as something more than a convenience item or an accessory to make her look good. I hear all these women complain about how they put in so much effort for men that don't appreciate them back. But I would really love to know who and where these women are that put in all this effort, because I'm sure as hell not finding them in my own life. Story 17. Why do you need to try to prove anything when out on a date? The only thing you're supposed to do on a date is to be yourself and have your own fun. If someone throws all these life expectations of being taken care of on you, just keep things real by saying, I want a partner that can take care of herself, where we can rely on each other, and that truly loves to be together and happy with me. If all you want is security, go and call the security company and ask for a quote. You might need to go away from the concept of dates and just look to have fun until you find someone that deserves your care through friendship. Story 18. Stop trying to prove anything to anyone. It probably comes across as forced and cringy anyway. Just be your best authentic self, and whoever is drawn to that is likely somebody you would enjoy dating much more than you would enjoy trying to date someone who expects you to jump through hoops just to check their boxes. Story 19. I just don't. If I get the sense that I'm expected to drop a resume more involved than a wingman, hard pass. Does this mean I don't get dates very often and get labeled by shallow women that loathe themselves? Of course. But it also means that the dates I go on aren't purely transactional, and if things don't work out, they at least end pleasantly. If it does end up as a purely transactional thing, that's fine, but I don't consider that dating. Story 20. Don't you have standards too? It's about compatibility, and if you aren't compatible with them, it shouldn't be dehumanizing, just the same as if they weren't compatible with you. Story 21. If you see them mentally checking boxes or not, that is a signal for you to say next. You have a choice in this too. There is a reason couples say, we just clicked. It should be about chemistry, not box checking. This is why online dating is so terrible. Partners turn into another thing to shop for online. Story 22. Bro, you don't want to check the boxes. You don't want to fit someone's image when you're getting someone to like you or getting someone to be attracted to you. It will never last. Love yourself. You are enough. Then others will see that and love you. Story 23. All of my relationships began as friendships first. Then, after a while of knowing each other and wanting to see more of each other, it just changed title from friendship to relationship. That is my advice. The best life partner is a best friend, right? Find one that is a great friend and feels mutually about you. You have better luck meeting people through mutual friends, and a serendipitous moment may grant you luck. Just be you. A polite, confident you. Story 24. I want you to know that you are not alone, and a surprising amount of women actually have the same experience. At least those of us beyond a certain age, or some even not. Our life experiences and mileage may vary, but many women also know how you feel. I think anyone that desires companionship feels the same weight of rejection. All this to say, I don't have any words of wisdom for you, but I hope you know it's both men and women who end up in that same vacant space. I wish you the best, though. I had some amazing Korean barbecue today, along with a coffee I had never tried. I never go anywhere anymore, so this was one of my few forays post-COVID. I was able to people watch in the bright sunshine and have a lovely meal. Just me. There were so many sizes, shapes, and ethnicities. They all were wonderful to behold and just enjoy being around, even as a non-participant. I judge myself in ways I never would judge anyone that walked through that door. So be good to you. You truly never know what the future brings, so keep your chin up. Story 25. Think of it from a woman's perspective. The biological costs of getting it wrong are far higher than they are for us. We cannot get pregnant, and we are far less likely to be victims of sexual assault or general relationship violence. They need to be selective because if they decide to go exclusive with you and years later it doesn't work out, it is far costlier for them than for us. A healthy middle-aged man can probably still find a young woman to marry, which is less likely if you're a woman. Yes, it is unfortunate, but such is life. If that's the price we men have to pay to avoid dealing with all the challenges women face, then that is a considerably favorable trade. Story 26. Stop trying to prove things to people. Just be who you are. Some people will like you and others won't. No need to stress yourself over trying to perform for others. Story 27. Not really. If she can find someone better than me, more power to her. Also, online dating is awful for mental health. In-person has had more success for me. At the end of the day, regardless of how I meet her, it's 100% on me to improve myself and engage with her in a way that keeps her interested. Maybe it's not fair, and society puts a lot more pressure on men to meet certain expectations to be able to connect with a woman, but that's just reality. The sooner you accept it and start playing the game within the confines of reality, the sooner you'll get results. Story 28. Women are biologically selective, but dating apps have significantly worsened that. In the past, you would approach a woman you liked and speak to her without her knowing your height, income, hobbies, or other metrics. She had fewer things to be selective about and gave you an opportunity to converse, which, if you played your cards right, made you likable and possibly guaranteed future dates. Dating apps create a paradox of choice where you have too many options and don't know what to choose, similar to streaming services. People pick one randomly, then experience fear of missing out on the other choices. You now have to rely on more metrics to make better choices even before getting to know the person. Your humanity has been reduced to numbers and a few sentences. It's like how I use a smartphone comparison site to compare specifications and usually pick the one with the most advantages. The same thing is happening on dating apps. Human beings, however, aren't smartphones. They have experiences, stories, and character. Some interesting or depressing Tinder statistics. Tinder has 75 million users, of which 78.1% are men and 21.9% are women. 30% of its users are married. It's a competitive environment, so you've got a lot of competition. Hinge has an almost equal number of men to women, while OkCupid and Coffee Meets Bagel have more women. 46% of the time, men swipe right, while women swipe right 14% of the time. 22% of Tinder users surveyed answered that they are looking for a hookup. 4% said they are looking for a relationship. 44% said they use it for confidence-boosting procrastination. And 29% answered that they use the app for other reasons. A man of average attractiveness can only expect to be liked by slightly less than 1% of females, 0.87%. This equates to one like for every 115 females. Story 29. I act like myself, and if she is not into it or gets all high and mighty, I curb her attitude. That's how I found my wife, and for the past 10 years, through good times and bad, she has never once made me feel like less of a man for falling short on typically manly things. Story 30. The answer to your question can be found within your post. I am willing to bet that no one else is calling you a loser or a creep. Rather, you feel that way about yourself and are externalizing your own negative views of yourself. You need to try and develop a sense of self-worth and confidence that is mostly independent from the thoughts and opinions of others. Do you think that you are a loser or a creep? If not, then who cares what anyone else thinks? If you do think that about yourself, then you know what you have to work on in terms of improving yourself.